Hello, must do 0063 back for part 27 of Pokemon AshGray. It's been so long I had to look up which part it was. And yeah, well, basically this episode from the title is going to be the fourth Travelling Companion Countdown video in my series of 5. We're going to be talking about my third and second favourite characters or Travelling Companions of Ash in the anime. So I'm going to say right up front there is going to be nothing new in terms of gameplay in this episode. I'm not going to go through any episodes of the anime in terms of gameplay. I'm also not even going to bother talking about what happened last time. This is strictly going to be ultimately just a Travelling Companion Countdown video where I talk about my second and third favourites. So, but a couple of housekeeping things. First off, I did a little bit of research into where the best farming spot was going to be, and I think I've settled on the spot without going ahead of myself, and also without going too far back. This patch of grass here, just to the left of the Pokemon Centre, seems to yield the best Pokemon in terms of levelling up. There's a patch of grass down there. There was also a patch of grass, over to there to the left. I seem to be getting like high 20 level Oddishes there and a few Weeping Bell, but which is not so bad, but Oddish don't tend to give me that much experience, or at least not in comparison to the much higher ratio of Gloom and Weeping Bell that I was encountering in this little patch of grass here. So yeah, this is going to be my farming spot. And I'm also just to say as well that oops, no, I want to set up things up first. Because I was testing this out obviously, and then I've reverted back to my save state, so I need to sort all this out. So I am going to take the lucky egg off of Pikachu. Because basically in this area as well there seem to be all grass Pokemon, so yeah, that rules out really. I mean, Pikachu would probably cope 20 levels higher, so I think that would probably be fine, but yeah, Squirtle and Bulbasaur not the best against grass types, and Charizard, well, screw him at the moment. He's extremely uncooperative. And I don't think I'm going to do too well with Charizard, so I am going to give Pidgeotto the lucky egg. Of course, grass Pokemon, Pidgeotto is going to do exceedingly well, so he's going to go out front. He's going to be doing all my battling for me. I'm going to keep the experience share on Bulbasaur at the moment. I'll maybe get him up to maybe 42 or so, or hopefully, and then probably do Squirtle up to the same amount. The other thing I do want to say as well, quickly before we get into the encountering, is I'm toying with the fact, because I'm playing this on an emulator, whether to speed up what's going on here. So this is obviously normal speed, and when I was playing through the on the internet version, I would just kind of be playing through, and I couldn't really do this. But of course, playing with the emulator, I had the opportunity to speed things up. So see how long that fight took. So let's actually do this. So basically, yeah, that's kind of what it all boils down to. That fight there probably took all of 5 seconds. So do we do another one? Pokemon appears. Use select wing attack. It's a grass Pokemon. It levels up, and we're done instantaneously. Also hold down the skip bar and the X to stop Pidgeotto evolving there. And yeah, there we go. There are 2 encounters that probably took place. I reckon I could probably do maybe 3 or 4 encounters in the amount of time it would take me to do 1 encounter if I was just doing this normally. So if I was just doing this off camera, that would be how I would go about levelling up. Because I was a bit disappointed actually in the after my third Travelling Companion Countdown video, where it was about an hour and a half long. Admittedly, I probably wasn't doing all the battling for an hour and a half, but yeah, I didn't seem to get too many levels up, or my Pokemon didn't seem to be like substantially improved based on where I thought they would be after an hour and a half's work. So what I would, if I was doing this off camera, what I would do is, given I can speed this up, is absolutely do that. That would be just the perfect way of encountering far more Pokemon. As I say, if I can get maybe 3, even to say 3 Pokemon fights, probably more than that, frankly. Let's say 4 Pokemon fights in the amount of time where it's sped up as opposed to 1 fight. Then of course I'm encountering 4 times as many Pokemon. I'm getting roughly 4 times as much experience points, and then my Pokemon are going to level up roughly 4 times many, or go up 4 times as many levels as they would do if I wasn't speeding it up. So I'm going to maybe at least try and start and do the speed up technique while I'm talking through. While I kick off and going through my third favourite character, but the problem is it's bloody half distracting and irritating with the sort of just physically doing it, and the sort of music and everything kind of just going all weird and funny in the background as well. I've turned the volume down a little bit as well, because I feel like that might get rid of some of the distractions, so the music might be a little lower in this video. But as I say, I'm not doing too much in the way of story gameplay anyway, so I figure it's probably not as important anyway. Yeah, I'm going to try it, but if it ends up being too distracting, I think I'll just have to resort back to normal speed, just so it doesn't kind of completely throw me off. So I'll give it a whirl, but yeah, we'll just have to see how that pans out. But yeah, anyway, with a 5-minute introduction or so, I'm still actually doing anything. Still haven't gone to the Travelling Companion Countdown. That was just a setup. let's actually get back to the travelling companion countdown. So bring up my little image of all the rankings so far. So we've got 11th place Max, 10th place Tracy, 9th place Iris, 8th place Silent, 7th place Misty, 6th place Clement, 5th place Brock, and 4th place Serena. So yeah, we're down to our final 3: Bonnie, Dawn, May. And in case you were thinking there was anything to that, that was in alphabetical order, so I'll do it in chronological order if you like. May, Dawn, Bonnie. Just so not reading into anything, but yeah. Without any further ado, I guess it's time to reveal who is in 3rd place. Who is my 3rd favourite travelling companion of Ash's. And it is... May. So... Why do I like May? I wasn't expecting to counter a Meowth here. That was interesting. Anyway, why do I like May? Well, she is such a sweet character. She has a lot of really great character development as well. So yeah, just immediately this technique is not going to work. I'm going to have to slow it down. So I'm going to have to just go normal speed. I can't concentrate properly. I'm gonna have to, my Pokemon aren't going to level up nearly as much as I'd like to. I have to go normal speed. The distraction is just unfortunately just way too much. So yeah, let's put that to bed right away, and we don't have to worry about it for the rest of the duration of the video. We can I'll just concentrate, go normal speed, and I'll concentrate on what I want to talk about. But yeah, no, May is a really sweet character who I do think has great character development, and that's not to say that character development isn't a necessity, to be a good character, but I think it certainly helps, and I think May has a lot of it. But I'm going to start off by saying I'm not fooled by her so-called declaration at the start of the Advanced series when she appears about her not liking Pokemon. From what little I don't think this is quite like a Lily situation. Yes, Sun and Moon reference. I haven't watched that anime, but from what I know, Lily is sort of, not that she doesn't like Pokemon, but she's sort of scared of them, which is kind of a weird concept. When people say they're sort of afraid of spiders or something like that, then technically that pretty much means they're not going to like them or they're going to hate them. But from what I could gather, Lily seems to be afraid of Pokemon, but doesn't per se dislike them. So it's a kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, I don't think this is like a Lily. May sort of situation is like a Lily thing where she's sort of afraid or certainly afraid of them, but I don't buy that she dislikes them. I completely buy that she would, I was going to say use them because that feels terrible, but use the kind of role of a Pokemon trainer to travel, see the world, because I definitely get the impression that is what May wants to do, likes to do. It's one of her ambitions, and yeah, completely see that she would become a Pokemon trainer to further that goal. But I certainly don't buy her declaration, even at the start, that she dislikes Pokemon. I think her initial kind of interaction with Torchic, which is obviously the Pokemon that she chooses as her starter Pokemon, where it's sort of, Torchic goes up and rubs up against her leg, she sort of thinks it's quite cute, she picks it up, she's got a smile on her face, doesn't sort of lend to me that I feel like she dislikes Pokemon, but at the end of that episode she also sort of cuddles is not quite the right word, but sort of, nuzzles or rubs Pikachu's cheeks. I don't believe that she would do that if she was sort of, didn't like Pokemon either. So, yeah, I don't buy that introduction. I completely buy that she would use them as a to further her goal of travelling, but not that she dislikes them. So, in terms of her character development, where she certainly grows to love them, let's say that. Because I fully take that she doesn't necessarily like them or love them at the start of her journey. She'd be more indifferent to them than actually disliking them. Don't forget as well, she must have grown up in a household with Pokemon as well. Her dad's a freaking gym leader, so it's not like she grew up. And let's assume at one point in time that May was younger and not perennially 10 years old, but. Yeah, she must have grown up in a household with Pokemon. She must have been, interacting with them on a near day-to-day basis, I would assume, unless sort of Norman kept them locked away and, somewhere, and May never went anywhere near them. I mean, she may have stayed away from them as a matter of point, but there's no way she didn't have a childhood that was somewhat heavily Pokemon influenced, obviously. Yeah, I must admit, I don't buy her disliking Pokemon. But that being said, her journey going from where she started, where she's indifferent to them rather than disliking them, to her really, really falling in love with them. Just from either the movies and also obviously through the actual anime itself, is clear, and I do really like that side of the character development. As for her sort of personality, I really like the fact that she's sort of a bit goofy. It was a complete contrast to Misty, who, not that she doesn't have a sense of humour, not that she can't be funny, not that she can't joke around, but May is really goofy. And I think that's a really nice kind of character trait for her to have. Examples of that, for instance, being, when Ash was sort of first heard about the gym leader of that was Norman, but she didn't let on it was Norman. She sort of just sort of stands up, makes a really kind of weird turning around motion. She sort of hop on one leg and sort of like a knee in the air and all that kind of thing. Her animations are just kind of so kind of goofy. There's another one where I think she's sort of in the middle of I don't want to say like beating up Max, because I don't think that's true, but when a trainer sort of comes, another trainer that she sort of got her eye on kind of comes in and sort of, it looks a bit weird what May's kind of doing. She sort of has a huge kind of like initial scream on her face, and she starts kind of like flexing flexing her arms and legs to sort of detract from what she's doing. I really like May's sort of like animation, if you will, or I suppose that's not necessarily a reason to sort of, wouldn't be a reason to like her as a character per se, but I guess that animation sort of goes along with her goofiness, and I think that was a sort of a nice change from Misty, who ultimately, and indeed Brock, although Brock is obviously still in the advanced series, but particularly with Misty, in that sort of the more kind of serious kind of side of things. Not that Misty's not a good character either, but I thought it was a very nice contrast to have May in this sort of persona. The other thing that sort of or one clear example is kind of I don't want to say running gag through the series. I will, by the way, just speed through the cancelling the evolution, because where I can save time there. I'm going to have to do that quite a lot as well. One sort of recurring, I hesitate to say gag, is sort of her May's expeditions, where she sort of makes a kind of a camera, or with her fingers, and sort of pretends that she's doing a sort of TV documentary kind of thing. I love that. That's just such a nice kind of, and completely in character with her as someone who, is big on travelling, exploring, wants to see new places and all that kind of thing. Why wouldn't she be like a kid there and be, enjoy and be excited by all the new places that she's seeing? I really like that about her. I thought that was a really nice kind of character staple that she kind of kept, pretty much through the entire Hoenn series. It was endearing. It was really endearing to see that, and I really like that sort of side of her. Just the goofy, fun, playful kind of character that I think we didn't perhaps get to see as much as we should have done with Misty. So I like that. I think she also has the patience of a saint to have to deal with her like plonker of a brother Max. Who is just really freaking annoying. Just no matter, a younger brother like that, it would just drive me up the wall. When she gets sort of, angry or frustrated with him, or indeed just generally, actually, whether it's with Ash or usually Ash as well, and Max, I usually feel like it's completely justified as well. So again, I feel like when she does get angry, it's not again like Misty. I hate to sort of keep going on and labouring the point about what I perhaps don't like quite so much about Misty, but when Misty got angry, she was almost cruel. She was physically violent, both towards her friends, her travelling companions, and her Pokemon, particularly Psyduck, probably only really, to be honest, Psyduck. But that's one thing I really, really did not like about Misty. I have to say that. And a lot of the time, I mean, okay, fine. It might have been like a barbed comment or a jibe thrown at her, but she could have at least just said something back, or not left Ash with a giant bruise on his head or something. You know, there are better ways of dealing with that side of things, and I think May is does that far better. She does get angry. It's not like she's the happy-go-lucky person who's never angry, never upset, always smiling kind of thing. She does lose her temper. She does get angry, but she sort of does it in the right way, if you will, and I usually feel like she's justified in doing so. That was a nice kind of a contrast to see. Again, compared to Misty, who sort of channeled that and dealt with that in the wrong way. While we're on the issue of Max as well, I would just like to perhaps bring up that I love her reaction to Ash defeating her father, Norman, in the gym battle. I've gone on about Max's kind of hissy fit reaction where he sort of just runs away, locks himself in a shed or whatever, snatches the badge away so Ash can't have it, and starts hissy fit is about the temper tantrum / hissy fit, however you want to say it, but just sort of like completely berating his father, saying why do you have to lose, and just not appreciating Ash's achievement or anything like that. Whereas May has just such a more mature reaction. I know she's older than Max and all that, but May's reaction that was just sort of acceptance of saying, well, of course I don't like the fact that, or I'm not happy that our dad lost, but I'm also happy that Ash won. She appreciated Ash's achievement. She accepted that it was a hard-fought battle. Both trainers tried their hardest, fought their best. The Pokemon did their best as well. And ultimately, she's disappointed her dad lost, but equally, she's happy Ash won. She supports him, and she doesn't have. She reacts really well to that situation. And again, in complete contrast to Max, who is an absolute spoilt little brat, who I really, really don't like. There are numerous occasions throughout the anime where May gets annoyed with Max, and why wouldn't she? But deep down, it's like Clement and Bonnie. I obviously do still get the impression that she, obviously cares for Max greatly. I mean, he's a younger brother after all. Obviously, there's a wonderful episode where May is just about to get on a boat, I think, to the Pokemon, to the finale of the Pokemon contest. I forget what the hell those are called. The finale's called. That's going to annoy me that I can't remember what that is. The Grand Festival, I think is what it's called. She's fulfilled her dream. She's got her 5 contest ribbons. She's thought about nothing else. Really in the span of time where she when she first wanted to become obviously or compete in Pokemon contests. And Max is missing. I think he's sort of lost. I can't remember exactly where he's lost, but he's sort of could be potentially in trouble. And Ash and Brock have obviously volunteered to sort of stay behind and find Max, make sure he's safe. But May is like, well, I can't do that. I made a promise. We get a nice flashback actually to when May initially, May and her mother having a conversation about going on travels. By the way, I've run out of wing attack, hence why I'm just keeping a track of that, and I'm obviously going to Pokemon Center to heal up or replenish moves, and I'll also speed that up. Why not? Anything I can do to save time. But we get this nice flashback to May and her mother talking, saying, "Well, I'm allowing, I'll let Max go along, but you have to take care of him. Be the big, be the responsible big sister. I know you can be, not that he's not going to get on your nerves at times, but priority number one, if you will, is take care of Max, make sure he's okay." And I really like this moment where she's effectively right there. She's about to fulfill her dream to compete in the Grand Festival, and she chooses to miss the boat and stay behind and help Max. And there's a sort of tear in her eyes when she does it, and Ash is sort of grabbing her by the shoulders and just sort of telling her almost, don't be silly, don't give up on your dream just for Max. But no, she won't have it. She at that point in time, I mean, I think we probably all knew, as audiences, as viewers, that she was never going to miss the Grand Festival. I mean, they were never going to pull that. But at the time, for that character, for her thinking that she's going to miss it, I think that's a huge deal, and I think that shows great maturity that perhaps she didn't have at the beginning of the anime. and something that I perhaps don't feel like I would have expected her to maybe do at the beginning, seeing sort of the friction between May and Max. But no, that moment there where she effectively said, no, I know that's my dream, but the promise I made to my mother, my parents, to Max being number one priority, if you will, or needing to take care of Max, that comes first. I'll sacrifice my dream to make sure Max is okay. That was a really, really great moment, I think, for May. Of course, obviously, it all worked out by the end of the episode. One of their friends that they'd met on their journey came along with a speedboat or something, was able to get May and the gang to the Grand Festival. So it all worked out in the end. But yeah, not knowing that at the time, I think that was a really, really nice moment for May. I'm going to pause there just to probably go and talk about a few negatives, because I don't want to sort of finish just on all the negatives. I've got a few sort of positives that I do want to mention. So yeah, and again, I think these ultimately are the things. I don't think they're necessarily major things, apart from maybe one of them that does rub me on the wrong way a little bit. But are probably why she wouldn't have come definitely second or third indeed on my list. So I think the first one is that sort of, not necessarily that it's a slight on her or a bad thing in any stretch of the imagination, but it doesn't really help her character development per se. And that's that she doesn't really have a specific focus on any one Pokemon. What I mean by that is, you think about all the other, let's say, female travelling companions, and you can almost immediately think of a Pokemon that you would associate with them, or being like their main one. So you think of Misty, and you think Togepi. You think of Dawn, you immediately think Piplup. You think of Iris, and you immediately think Axew. And you think of Serena, and you probably immediately think Fennekin/Braixen. So those are the ones that they've all sort of developed and made a real kind of nice connection with. And if I maybe bring in a specific comparison here with Dawn, in the sense that she's probably about the only one who maybe has like a fully fleshed out or expansive party of Pokemon. As May, and I think we can it's obvious to see that Piplup is her go-to Pokemon. He's her favourite. It was her starter Pokemon, her very first one. I can completely understand that, but I also feel like she has really, really nice moments in episodes with all her other Pokemon. Let's just pause there. I don't think I'm going to learn that, because I've got a funny feeling that I'm going to. Yeah, that's the one that I take damage from. Whoa! No, I want to just check that out, thank you. And not lose my train of thought on what I was saying. Also hurts the user. Yeah, I really... Quick Attack at this point almost feels sort of useless, though. It really does. Although I kind of like it just from it deals like so little damage, only deals like 60, that would at least deal like 180. But you know what, I really do hate moves that damage the user, particularly ones that do a lot of, I know that one said hurt a little, but and actually, funnily enough, the double edge attack when we had it before, actually I was surprised at how little that actually hurt. But just on general principle, I really do not like moves that deal damage to the user, or to my Pokemon as I use them. So yeah, on that principle, I'm not going to give Pidgeotto double edge. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not expecting that I'm going to have too much trouble with getting through the anime in terms of this Let's Play. So I'll just go with the moves that I would think I would generally use. If I was actually playing a Pokemon going for proper. Well, I am playing this for proper, obviously, but an officially fully fledged Game Freak game. Anyway, getting back to my point. So it was not to say I want to talk about Dawn quite so much now, but I think she has got there's clear care and attention and character development, beyond the actual initial catching of the Pokemon, that I could say about each and every one of Dawn's Pokemon. I really don't feel I feel like I can say that with May, and that includes Torchic, or Combusken, or Blaziken. I think it's a bit unfair to say Blaziken because it only evolves to Blaziken, right at the end of the Hoenn series or the Advanced series. So, you couldn't really say there's any real time for May to get attached to Blaziken per se, but it feels like she doesn't have a lot of character development with her Pokemon. Let's say that. Yeah, and I'd say that includes Torchic or Combusken, which are around for the large majority of her time in the anime. And yeah, if there's any one Pokemon that I funny enough I do feel that I associate with May, I think I'd probably say Beautifly. I think that was sort of around the time in the anime. She caught a Wurmple fairly early on, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, but Silcoon, I want to say. I think Jessie got a Wurmple, and that was a Cascoon and then a Dustox. So I think the May's Wurmple was a Silcoon, which eventually became a Beautifly. Yeah, that's the one where I think she started to really. I felt like she really sort of came around from, again, not disliking Pokemon, but sort of, again, indifferent to, actually, yeah, this is kind of neat. I'm having fun here. My Beautify looks pretty, looks beautiful, looks amazing. I'm having fun here. I think that was sort of the time where I kind of felt May was really growing into, being a Pokemon trainer and such like that. And yeah, that's the one, funny enough, that I perhaps associate with May. And I think it's almost funny that, again, thinking about the first three female travelling companions, when they come back, so, again, when Misty came back for her first appearance in the Advanced series, who is she holding? Togepi. When Dawn came back after the Diamond and Pearl series to appear in Black and White or Best Wishes in Unova, who was the Pokemon clinging to her back? Piplup. When May came back in the Diamond and Pearl series, who was it that flew ahead and was the Pokemon that she sort of got to greet Ash and her new friends? Beautifly. Now, I'm not saying that given that she was on a boat, it would have been necessarily easy for her to have any other Pokemon there, and I certainly think it would be quite hard for her to have had Blaziken on her back. So you read a little, read into that what you will, but I do find it interesting that actually maybe part of my reasoning behind thinking again or associating May most with Beautifly comes from that moment. Even though I think that, and I think Beautifly was probably the one that I feel like got the most attention. She probably used most. At least that's my perception based on the anime. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe Torchic or Combusken got more, but yeah, I feel like Beautifly was May's sort of main Pokemon, if you will. I can't really pinpoint to it sort of being per se as main a Pokemon or one that I would strongly associate with May as I would Togepi with Misty or Dawn with Piplup, or I'll stop there and not go on anymore. But you get the idea. So I feel like with May suffers a little bit in the sense that she doesn't quite get the character development with her Pokemon as much as other characters do. I save aside, of course, obviously, from the episode where they are first caught or encountered or such, because obviously they're going to get screen time and development there. But beyond that, yeah, I don't feel like May's Pokemon get all that much attention, which is a bit of a shame, to be honest. And yeah, as I say, it's one of those reasons why May sort of falls slightly lower down the pecking order. I also feel like, and again, sort of, maybe in comparison to Dawn, thinking about Pokemon contests and such like that, that she tends to rely way too much on luck, on good luck. As someone who probably doesn't get quite as much bad luck as they think, but from my perspective, certainly thinks or likes to think that they suffer from bad luck, just generally. That kind of, seeing someone get just huge doses of good luck is just somewhat irritating to me. You compare sort of Dawn's kind of ability in contests with May's, and I think it's in some ways it's a bit of an unfair comparison, but May didn't half rely on Skitty's assist or Munchlax's metronome, to win things, and I just think. Her, not that it should be a bad thing on her, but obviously she's trying her hardest and such like that, and obviously there's different levels of competence. I'm not expecting her to be, a Pokemon master. Well, no, that's stealing Ash's title, but yeah, I'm not expecting her to be, the best she can be, right off the gate and such like that. But I feel like we don't get to see May train enough or develop strategies enough, certainly to the extent that we see, for instance, Ash or certainly Dawn do in her preparation for Pokemon contests, that she seems to get by on almost dumb luck a lot of the time, whether it's Skitty pulling out an assist move, a random move, obviously from within her arsenal, or from other Pokemon that just so happen to be super effective, or say Metronome's wow, Munchlax's Metronome, which obviously just pulls a random move completely out of his arse. And what do you know? Most of the time, it's super effective. So I think I would have liked to have seen May, be a bit more competent and develop sort of strategy and do some sort of training. I don't think we really get to see enough of that, and I think she relies and maybe this is just sort of a personal slight from my perspective as someone who likes to think that at least that they're quite unlucky or suffer from bad luck type of person who when playing a board dice game and they need to roll a 3 rolls a double 1 or just those kind of things. Something like that over Christmas. Unbelievable. I was just sorry to go on a complete tangent, but yeah, playing a game where you rolled 4 dice and you had to get a certain score. You rolled 2 dice, and then at that point in time you could stick or twist or add certain buffs, to increase your score. And I was like 3 short of where I needed to be. And I was like, fine. I won't bother with doing anything else. I won't bother with any buffs. I think you can guess what I am to roll with the last 2 dice. Anyway, yeah, that's the sort of luck I'm referring to. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it's obviously not earth-shattering, life-changing bad luck kind of things. But it's small fry stuff. But things like that just seem to consistently happen, and they do add up. And it's difficult to get them out of your head. So for me, May is just a bit too lucky for her own good. Just seems to get by on luck rather than skill, and ultimately I feel like that she maybe doesn't quite earn her rhythms or earn her triumphs as much as other characters do, and that just slightly irks me. The other thing I'm going to say before I say like the real negative and the absolute one thing that I really, really, really did not like about May at all. And it's only a small bit. It only happens, for like a very sort of brief period. But it still really ticked me off. It just came completely out of the blue. But the one thing as well, which is really, really unfair on May, it really is, but I can't get away from it, and that is the change of voice actors between Season 8 and Season 9. Veronica Taylor, who did, I think, Ash and May, was just really, really good for my money. And I think, the voice for May was just something I could, was just really good. And I was obviously, going through the first 3 seasons of the advanced season in Hoenn, you got accustomed to it. Unfortunately, and I appreciate it can take a little time for a new voice actor to come in and kind of find the voice they want to give to a character, but man, May's voice in particular at the beginning of season 9 is so hard to listen to. I don't want to say a slight on the new voice actress or actress or her skill or competence or anything like that, because I'm sure she's obviously very good at her job, but it was just such a deviation from May's voice from season 6 through 8 that I found it really, really hard to watch. It wasn't as bad as the change in James's voice actor. Good grief. I still to this day hate James's voice actor in the anime. Again, nothing on the actor himself. I'm sure he's obviously, very skilled in what he does, but just again, compared to James's previous voice prior to season 9, I don't like that voice at all. That's my least liked voice change of the lot. But Maze is so hard to watch. I found it really difficult to watch a lot of season 9, and for that reason, May just sort of falls a little bit by the wayside to me. And that is really, really unfair on the character, because it's got nothing to do with her character. It's a complete external thing that has nothing to do with her development and nothing to do with ultimately what we should be focusing on. But I can't get away from it. It's just something that's there. It's in the background. You can't sort of you can't get away from it. It's impossible to sort of disassociate yourself from that. So I appreciate that one is ridiculously unfair, but it's a thing. I'm sorry. Anyway, that brings me to my sort of last. Let's speed through this. Brings me to my last main kind of negative on May, and that is, very, very specific and probably almost constrained entirely to one episode. Cruising for a Bruising. Great episode title name, by the way. Where almost completely out of the blue, May develops just such a superiority complex, such a chip on her shoulder, becomes arrogant to the power of 10, and it's just such a strange, out of the blue transformation that literally just catches everyone completely off guard, and it comes out of nowhere and is completely unjustified. I think she's maybe won a couple of I forget whether it's either 2 or 3 contest ribbons by this point in time. I don't think it's as many as 4, but yeah, she's definitely won some contests, and all of a sudden she develops this extraordinary arrogance that, like, oh yeah, I only need to like turn up, I'm going to win this, I don't need to take it. She like full on blooming yells at Ash, who tries to give her a bit of advice in the contest or in the battling stage, and I know she wants to kind of do things her own way and such like that, but Ash has been a sort of a pretty good, let's be honest, for as immature and as kind of dense and dumb as Ash can be. Oh, lick a tongue. Okay, well, actually can't take that out quite very quickly, can I? We'll still sit with wing attack, but yeah, for as dumb or as dense as you think Ash could be, he's a pretty good mentor for May, all things considered. I know she has to say develop her own style, and she can't ultimately she can't mirror Ash, because ultimately that's you can't do that. You need to kind of go it alone at some point in time, but to sort of completely dismiss him, refuses help and his advice in this situation, actually kind of to the point where she almost yells at him to sort of stay out of it kind of thing, blah blah blah. It's just it's just such a drastic character change from May that I absolutely hate, and ultimately it culminates in her completely mistreating, not to the point where I think we're at Misty Psylocke level, but it's in the she goes into one of the contest battles after she got through the first phase. Where are these Pokemon, by the way? Have I made them all faint in this area? Yeah, she gets through to the battle stage and she's using Bulbasaur, who we can clearly see as the audience, and Brock even alludes to it in the build-up, that May's sort of change of personality, and the fact that she's sort of seems to be getting very angry and yelling at people is kind of upsetting Bulbasaur, freaking her out, and but she doesn't seem to care, doesn't seem to notice, and just sort of waltzes straight into the battle, and really just completely ignores what's kind of going on to Bulbasaur in this battle. He's getting battered from pillar to post, and when the judges finally kind of step in to call it and just say, no, that's enough, we're not continuing. May's kind of indignant and kind of like, what are you doing that for? I'm not done fighting yet. To which they really go to town on her. I'm so glad that they actually did that, to sort of say, I think it's like, what? Why? I'm not done fighting. And like, yes, you are. To which point she's sort of like, cowers, kind of shocked almost at the rebuke, where the judges kind of like, scold her to say, how can you be so thoughtless? How can you not consider the state of your Pokemon? All you're thinking about here is glory. All you're thinking about is winning. You're not taking your Pokemon's feelings or health or well-being into consideration whatsoever. What are you playing at? You've already won at least a couple of contests by this point in time. You should know fully well when your Pokemon are in pain and hurting and need attention. You're completely dismissing that. You're solely focused on your own selfish desire here to win. And I'm glad they chew her out. Admittedly, her turnaround is quite quick. We've been sort of cut to see her outside on a bench, sort of stroking Bulbasaur, apologising profusely for saying, sorry for acting in such a way. Bulbasaur, immediately kind of forgives her, and all's well. Ash kind of comes out and says, we all get carried away by wanting to win, but you have to keep a level head, and you have to consider your Pokemon's feelings, and health and well-being kind of thing. So, yeah, at that point in time, I think, I don't recall any situation like that ever again for May. She sort of, strives at that point in time to say, I'll make sure I never get into such a situation before, again, my Pokemon's well-being will always come first. But I appreciate it's a character development thing, and ultimately it probably gets her to a good place in terms of character, where she sort of had some success. It went to her head a little bit, or very much went to her head, and she needed something to bring her down to earth. So I think it was good development per se, but it's such an uncomfortable watch, and as good as development it is for her. That was one. I've never disliked May more than in that one episode. I think it's it's yeah, it does she doesn't come out well on that at all, and yeah, I don't see quite so much negative things, like for instance, certainly with my, with my top two. So that was a big reason why May is sort of, a little bit lower on the list than my top two. But anyway, that's the kind of the end of the negatives. So let's go back to some positives. I mentioned the relationship she has there with Ash in terms of this sort of mentor-student kind of one, which is really nice. And I feel like she actually, for the most part, that episode and a few other times, the exception, she does take on board what Ash is saying. He is the one ultimately with the experience that is training her up, that is giving her the advice, which she takes on board for the most part. However, I do kind of like that, at some point in time, that she does actually appreciate, okay, there's perhaps only so much that Ash can teach me. I need to develop my own style, particularly with contests anyway, which Ash is not necessarily the best or indeed any real good person to necessarily give her advice for. But with the battling sort of style and such like that, and again, contest battles being a different animal to gym battles, but Ash can certainly help to a certain degree on there. But I like that May sort of realises, okay, yeah, there's only so much that Ash can do. I need to come up with my own sort of style, my own way, my own ways of battling and such like that, and Ash is a help certainly, particularly at the beginning. But it's good development for May that she can appreciate that for the most part and grow, but also seek to grow and improve herself, recognising that Ash can't do everything. So I do like the relationship Ash and May have. I mean, they're still friends. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's so much of a teacher-student kind of relationship. They're obviously still both 10 and still they're friends at the end of the day. But I actually like. I'd say I'm not really talking about Ash so much, but I like that Ash actually gets to have such a role. He doesn't really get to do it too much again in the anime because there's not really a situation where he needs to. But it's a nice actual moment for Ash to be able to kind of step into that role. What else? Probably just a few little bits of things really left. I like that her love of food as well is just kind of like a nice character trait that I kind of really like. That she just sort of just ends up with a huge smile on her face and just so looking forward to food. I love her reaction when she came back in the restaurant. Yeah, the restaurant sort of running out of food or thieves stealing all the food. When she came back into the Diamond and Pearl series and met up with the gang there, sort of just like bursting into flames, sort of thing. I thought that was really nice. But just her general kind of her love for food is just a kind of, again, a really nice kind of character trait. It's nothing too massive, but it's just it's a nice character trait for her to have. It is kind of just a nice kind of humorous situations, and I do appreciate that. I guess maybe the only other thing I do want to maybe ask one more thing before I go on to the last one, which I find probably almost one of my favourite May moments actually, is just touch very briefly on her relationships with the other other contestants in Pokemon contests. So I like her relationship with Drew. I think it kind of there's a sort of a healthy respect there initially from May's perspective, maybe not quite so much with Drew, but certainly he comes to sort of respect and appreciate May a bit more. I think there's obvious evidence there of a I've just been noticing. In fact, no, I'm going to wait till I finish with May, and then I'll switch up Bulbasaur. Just thinking, I'm giving Bulbasaur perhaps way too much time here, but no, I do want to switch to Squirtle at some point in time. The May and Drew's relationship is kind of a nice one. I do feel like there's definite hints towards some kind of romantic feelings from May towards Drew there, which again is kind of just a kind of a fair touch. don't mind that at all. But it's interesting to see their relationship kind of grow from the sort of May being kind of quite annoyed by Drew at the beginning, but sort of again appreciating him as they go through. I know Drew kind of steps in at certain times as well and defends May, which is really nice to see. But May certainly kind of growing to appreciate Drew's experience, his capability and such like that. It's nice to see that relationship develop. On the other hand, we've got Harley, who, bleeding hell, if you thought I didn't like Max, good grief. Harley may be my single most hated character in the entire frigging anime. He's just so awful. I mean, he's just such a horrid person in the first place. But he's obviously not going to be particularly endearing anyway. But seriously, there are horrible characters per se. You know, even characters. I mean, maybe Gary's not horrible, but let's just give Paul as an example, who can be characters done well, who we hate for the right reasons, or at least you can see us kind of a nugget of, yeah, okay, fine, you know, okay, the methods might be different, but they get kind of results and such like that. Harley is just an absolutely horrible person that I absolutely detest. It's nice to see that May gets the upper hand on him for, you know, 99% of the time, but yeah, good grief, it's in the hard half having to watch or indeed listen to Harley. I hate that guy. Yeah, no, I'm pleased to see May come out on top there. But yeah, I can't say too much about the relationship between the two. It's I thought it worth at least mentioning. You know, as a kind of a thing that occurred in the anime, but I'm not going to delve into any deeper than that. But yeah, I hate that. I hate Harley. I hate that guy. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to say was, yeah, ultimately, it probably goes back to my initial point that she is ultimately, I think, May, a really sweet, kind-hearted character, and I think, probably one of my favourite May moments of all time actually was when she came back in Diamond and Pearl, when she met up with Ash, Dawn, and Brock, and she brought gifts with her, you know, wouldn't necessarily say what she gave Ash and Brock are necessarily. I'm not sure what they are. It's never really addressed. Ash sort of gets an Ursa ring thing, carving maybe, but never quite made abundantly clear what it is. Brock's almost mirrors the audience and says, knowing what it's for would be great. But she gets Dawn a really nice sort of Piplup emblem, or something you wear around your neck. I can't quite think of, like, I don't want to say necklace because it's not quite like that, but yeah, something like that. If it's sort of in that kind of vein. I thought that was just a really nice touch. You know, just something to show, you know, that she, well, ultimately just to bring out how caring, how kind, and how sweet she actually is. You know, it would have been like nice to see. I mean, I know Misty did that as well when she came back. Or I think maybe it wasn't actually when she was physically there, but you know, I think she sent Ash a bunch of stuff. Sorry, can't even speak, including like the fishing lure that was shaped like she obviously shaped in Misty's image, which Pikachu really liked. Yeah, so Misty did that kind of stuff as well, and obviously we haven't had the chance with either Iris or Serena. They haven't come back as of yet. Yeah, it would have perhaps been nice to have seen Dawn do that in when she came back in the Black and White or Best Wishes series, but alas, she didn't. But yeah, I just thought that was one of my all-time favourite May moments there, as well as actually her comeback. I should maybe pay homage to her comeback in the Sinnoh Diamond and Pearl series. She made a really nice comeback there. I completely freaked out and lost it when I saw the because obviously, I mean, I had a feeling she might come back given Misty's reappearance in Hoenn, that she might, but yeah, that episode obviously just before the Wallace Cup, which May came back for, where we just get to see just before she actually, you know, we actually see her properly. We get to see this bandana above that's kind of on someone's head while they're sitting on the sofa, but we can't see the person. The minute you see the bandana, or the minute I certainly saw the bandana, I was like freaking out. I was like, "Oh my god, it's May! She's back! Brilliant!" That was super exciting, and she has some really nice moments in the you know, when she appears in the Wallace Cup, including obviously helping out Dawn. You know, gain her confidence back and all that kind of thing, and just be a really good friend to Dawn. I say I won't go too much into Dawn because I'll save that when I talk about Dawn herself. But yeah, I thought May was done really well when she came back for the. Have I got one more wing attack? And then I think I'm done. I think we're pretty much done with. If I haven't got a wing attack, I'll just use some other move. Yeah, with that, I think we're kind of done with May. Let's see what we've got here. I haven't got any. Okay, fine. Well, we'll have to just use something else then. I'm still admittedly 18 levels above, so I'm hoping we can still knock him out. Good, we can. If Bulbasaur wants to evolve as well, that would be lovely. That would have timed things out absolutely perfectly. But yeah, anyway, I think I'll leave it there for May. Yeah, she's I'll sum it up. I'm probably saying this multiple times now, but yeah, I really do like her. She's a really sweet character, really nice for the most part. I feel like she's a bit kind of, you know, she's a bit kind of goofy and such like that, and that adds to sort of, you know, the playfulness of the character and ultimately what, you know, endears her to me. She does have her moments that are things that that maybe more so than perhaps some of the other characters that maybe like 4th, 5th, 6th on my list that sort of don't endear me so much or feel like are a bit of a negative, including sort of maybe not having so much of a close bond with any one particular Pokemon, her over-reliance on luck, and as I say, that one episode, admittedly it's only one episode where she just goes off the deep end ridiculously, but yeah, overall, well, she's my third favourite travelling companion character in the anime, so clearly I really like her, but yeah, she just misses, she misses out on being, either top spot or number 2 spot, because ultimately, well, what can I say? The two characters I've got left on my list are ones I absolutely love. I may have gone a bit overboard when I was talking. I can't remember actually. I maybe should have looked that up. But when I was talking about Serena, I think in 4th place, I might have actually said I love her. I've sort of maybe tried to shy away from saying particularly that I love May, because I think if I can't quite say that about May, then I don't think I can say about Serena. And I think that's probably the case. I would say I really like. Why I'm doing that? I think I would say I really like May and no wrong thing, May and Serena, but I don't love them. And obviously, I'm talking about not love in a romantic way or anything like that, obviously. But actually, how much EXP have you got left before you level up again? That's just typical, isn't it? Okay. While I'm just doing my introduction, hopefully 3 more battles will get Bulbasaur up to level 44. I might try and speed through this, actually. I can probably do that fairly quickly, actually. Yeah, let's do that. Good idea. Right, 1 more, I hope. No, typical. In fact, I'm going to look that up, because that's just absolutely bloody typical, isn't it? And it always seems to happen. Maybe this happens to everybody, but I swear to God, it's like it chooses a level of Pokemon that I'm actually surprised as much as 59, because usually it's something like 2 or something when I do these kind of things. It seems to like pick the Pokemon that's just the perfect EXP that means it's like literally just shy of leveling up. It is ridiculous. Seems to happen to me all the time. Maybe that happens to everybody. I don't know. Just as a point, just as a thing nope, just as a thing that happens. But yeah, no, that seems to happen an awful lot to me. So anyway, yeah, we've got Bulbasaur now up to level 44. He was just shy, and now we'll give Squirtle the XP share, so he can level up. Probably not going to get him up to 44, but yeah, hopefully we can get him up to 42, 43, hopefully 43 by the end of this video, because it's going to go on for quite a while. Yeah, I'm conscious that we're only halfway through. I've got another character to talk about, and we're already over 50 minutes, so yeah, going to be another long one. I hope I don't lose my voice or my voice go croaky or anything like that. But anyway, yeah, back to where we were. Yeah, I think ultimately I can say I really like May and Serena, 3rd and 4th places, but I can't necessarily, hand on heart, probably can't say I love them. My top 2 characters, though, I can absolutely say that. I absolutely love Dawn and Bonnie, Bonnie and Dawn, reversing those so you don't get anything, any kind of indication about that. But yeah, obviously I'm going to reveal my number 1 spot here as well by revealing my number 2 spot. So yeah, and my number 1 pick will get her own video. I could talk for hours, and I probably will talk for at least an hour on just my one favourite character, because I think she ultimately deserves that. But yeah, I'll save her for her own video when I can really talk about her. Coming in at number 2 is Bonnie. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, well, Bonnie did exceptionally well to get this high up on the list, didn't she? Yes, of course she did. But I absolutely freaking love Bonnie. But I will say right off the bat, this countdown was pretty easy to do at the top and bottom levels. I had my bottom 2 absolutely nailed down. I had my top 2 nailed absolutely down. The ones in between were a little bit tricky. So, for instance, I knew Dawn and Bonnie were going to be the top 2. I knew Max and Tracy were going to be the bottom 2. I knew that I would have May, Serena, Brock, and Clement in a level above Iris, Silent, Misty. Hadn't necessarily got the order of those down, but I knew that those, the initial 4 I mentioned then, and then the latter 3 would be split in that 4-3. So yeah, Bonnie was always going to come in at number 2, and yes, she has done very well to get this far, and yeah, there's a clear difference between, as I say, May and Bonnie in 3rd place and 2nd place. There's also an absolute massive difference between Bonnie in 2nd place and Dawn in 1st place. So, yeah, Bonnie. I freaking love Bonnie. I actually, in contrast to what I've been doing with May, and indeed Dawn, because Dawn definitely has her sort of negative points and such things that, I still love her, but she still has things that maybe, don't quite suit so well with me, or things that I perhaps are not so keen on. I can not really think of anything that I would say in that regard negative about Bonnie. I cannot think of a thing really that I would change about her. Ultimately, I think that could probably only take you, so far, in the sense that, ultimately, she's a 7 or 8 year old girl, and I think, in that regard, if there was one word I had to sum up Bonnie with, it would be adorable. There is no other word, there is no more perfect word I can think of to sum up Bonnie. She is absolutely adorable. And yeah, I think ultimately because she is that kind of young and that adorable and such like that, but because she is, noticeably younger than the other characters that she's travelling around with in Kalos, in the X and Y series, that I really can't think of too much that I would change about her or that I can think as being negative. Where I'm going to get negative here is mainly about other people's kind of perceptions or indeed reactions or opinions on Bonnie. It's like that kind of thing where, and I'll do it with games as well, when you've got, or indeed characters, where you've got a character that you absolutely love, or this person like this, what I absolutely love, that seems to get, slated or really, I feel like, unfairly criticised by, fan base and such like that, then that kind of, I shouldn't do, but it sort of takes, I take it kind of personally. I take it kind of like, well, why are you being so harsh? Why are you being so critical? Of course, everyone has different opinions. That's great. That's that's how the world should work. It would be incredibly boring if we had all different opinions. But I feel like for two very specific instances for Bonnie, and I'll come on to those in a moment, that people are just being absolutely unnecessarily cruel for no reason, are just completely out of order and completely without justification in the first place. So, I'll give an example from the game. So, I really liked, one of my, I wouldn't say like all-time favourites, but Shadow the Hedgehog, which I've probably mentioned on other Let's Plays, other videos and such like that. I really like that game. I appreciate it's not for everyone, and I've watched Let's Plays and such like that from other people who've done Shadow the Hedgehog who don't like it, and I can sort of take that. I can understand why someone perhaps wouldn't do, and I can understand sort of criticisms when they are valid. But when you see people, even if it's people you follow and really like, just nitpick the hell out of something when other entries in the series or do very similar things, but are some for no justifiable reason excused. It's like, oh no, it's fine there. It's fine in that game. That game's a critical success. Everyone likes that game. It's fine there. But that game, no, can't stand for it there. Given even though it's like almost the exact same set of circumstances. And then what happens is everyone piles on as well. And Shadow the Hedgehog is a game that gets absolutely trashed. I'm not saying it's a fantastic or a phenomenal game. I'm pleased to see Squirtle level up here quite so early. So yeah, I'm not saying it's a. Oh, I keep doing that. Is this a move that's going to hurt me? If it's not, I'm going to get rid of one of the water ones. It's probably a two-turn one though, isn't it? Yep. Alright, fine, I'm not going to bother with Skull Bash. Again, 2-turn ones that attack on the second one, just not my cup of tea at all. I think I might have ended up getting Bulbasaur Solar Beam, but no. I've turned 2-turn ones where the exceptions being Flying Dig. I know everyone's going to be saying, well, you've given Pikachu Dig. That's a 2-turn one, but Dig takes you out of the firing line. You're not going to get hit by it, admittedly, unless someone's got Earthquake or something like that, or Fissure maybe, or something like that would attack it. But Fly is another good example of a 2-turn attack. But you get taken out of the, particularly if it's Flying type and moves quickly or gets the first move in. You're gonna fly high. You're gonna be out of reach. You're not going to take a damage. You're not going to take a hit. The good thing about 2-turn ones is they're usually very powerful. And Hyper Beam or Giga Impact or something like that. I would have far less qualms about those kind of moves, given that you actually make the move on the first go. You don't have to rest or whatever, but if it's a situation where you're in a pinch and you need to do massive damage, or if it's the end of a fight, and the rest period doesn't make any difference, fine. The problem with Solar Beam or Skull Bash there is that you have to bloody wait 2 turns for it to work, and you're completely at the mercy of whatever the hell the opposing team wants to do while you're doing it. It's freaking annoying. Dig and Fly and other 2-turn ones that get you out of the firing line or that actually move on the first turn are fine, but I hate 2-turn moves where it's the second turn where it does something. Ugh. So yeah, again, Skull Bash, no, not gonna entertain that. Admittedly, as well, it's only like 100 damage as well for a normal type. Normal move, and Squirtle being a water type. I think both my water type moves. I mean, admittedly, I suppose it would do better than was it Bite? I think Squirtle's got, which is Dark type move. But either the water ones there, which I was considering getting rid of, I think they're like maybe 60 or 65 power. So you're talking like 90 to like 97.5 anyway. So I'd rather go because of the same time attack bonus. So I think I'd just rather go with that than a 2-turn attack that's only going to do 100 damage. Why not do 2 water ones that are going to do at least 180 damage and possibly confuse the opposing Pokemon or lower their speed in the process? But I know that had an added one of raising Squirtle's defense, but no, just 2-turn attack moves. But whether it's the second go where it happens, not a fan at all. Now, can I get my train of thought back onto what I was talking about? Yes, we haven't even got into Bonnie at the moment. But Shadow the Hedgehog kind of gets absolutely slated, and it's a pile-on thing. Okay, but if a good portion of people start to just nitpick on it and hate on it, then everyone's going to do it because just why the hell not? That's the dumb thing, right? Just it all piles on. Thank you for missing that. I could do without being confused. So that kind of stuff irks me, and I feel like in Bonnie, in these 2 specific instances, and they're probably quite specific in the sense that they were sort of like some of my kind of like favourite of the anime episodes of the anime in the X and Y series. So I sort of went looking for, like reaction to them or whatever, and just was absolutely almost horrified by what I stumbled across. But anyway, that's going to be where my frustration comes from with Bonnie, rather than actually the Bonnie herself. But anyway, Bonnie is just one of those characters who I just can't help but smile when she's on screen, when she's doing whatever she's doing. Ultimately, she is the 7-8-year-old kid. I think it's never established exactly how old she is, but the childlikeness of the bit, the fact that she's just a young child who's got so much enthusiasm and such a love for Pokemon. It's infectious. It can't help but rub off on you. As someone who's probably quite a cynical person, quite a pessimistic person, the people that I'm drawn to most in real life, obviously, like friends and such like that, are people who are happy, who are optimistic, and not obviously all the time. Obviously, not everyone's going to be that obsessively happy all the time. But they're just the kind of people who are infectious in their enthusiasm and just can't help. And you can't help but be enthused when you talk to them or you spend time with them. Those are the kind of people. Ultimately, they're probably some of my best friends, and I absolutely see that in Bonnie, understandably, given her her young age and such like that. But she's just I have the biggest smile on my face whenever I watch Bonnie, whether it's just her being just playful with the Pokemon, whether it's just her kind of, she's funny as well, honestly. For someone so young, just her reactions to Clement's Clement's failed inventions, whether it's she's speaking with Serena or doing something with Serena, helping out with something, maybe the dessert making or such like that. She just approaches everything with such a positive, healthy attitude, and it's something that I wish I could say about myself. Again, for someone who is quite cynical and quite pessimistic overall, not to the point where I'm like, suicidal or depressed or anything like that. I mean, let's not go down anything like that route. But I see those kind of qualities of being this kind of happy person, this enthusiastic, this optimistic person, and think, well, I wish I was more like that. So I think it's only natural that that I'm kind of drawn to those people. I think she has a great. Let's talk about some of her relationships. I think she has a really wonderful relationships both with Clement and Serena. Let's talk about Clement first of all. I mean, obviously it's her. He's her big brother. But I feel like they are. I don't want to say that May and Max are not close because that feels just harsh or not true in the slightest. But I really sometimes you can almost forget that May and Max are siblings, if you will. I don't think there's any moment at all where I'm like, that Bonnie and Clement are not siblings. There's such a closeness to them. Where obviously Clement does a really, really nice job of taking care of Bonnie, but equally, I like the fact that Bonnie really does genuinely look out for Clement. This kind of the running gag that she has with finding a girl or finding a wife for Clement is a really nice reversal of the Brock role, where people are kind of pulling Brock away, or Pokemon indeed in Krogunk's case, pulling Brock away. From all the girls, it's Bonnie who's actually trying to set up Clement here. So it's a really nice kind of a role reversal. Does somewhat lose its kind of humorousness, for want of a better word, as we go through later on. But I still think it's nice to see Clement's kind of reaction to it, and also just kind of Bonnie's kind of acceptance that she kind of she's got this role to fulfil, that she feels like, well, there's no way Clement's going to do this, find anyone. It's her. She's taken on board the responsibility to do it herself. And again, for someone so young, for someone who's not that worldly. It's a really nice thing for Bonnie to do, and I do like that side of her quite a bit. It just shows how much how much she cares about Clement, and it's really, really nice. For Serena, I mean, there's clear. I mean, they've got. If it wasn't for like Clement and Bonnie, I'd almost you could almost somewhat mistake those two for sisters. They have a real speed this up. They have a real sibling-like or sisterly-like relationship, and again, that's really nice. I mean, Bonnie is so excited when Serena is about to join the group. Admittedly, it's probably, but ultimately, let's not beat around the bush. It's nice for Bonnie to have a a female companion around that she can interact with and such like that. Let's not over-egg that, but Serena and Bonnie have such a really nice relationship as well, that Serena again does sort of take on the elder sister role in that relationship. But it's really nice to see Bonnie go with that relationship, help Serena out with things, whether it's just like cooking and such like that, spending time with her. I love the little moments. There's a lovely little moment in I can't remember which episode it is. It must be fairly early on, but I think I probably mentioned this actually with when I was going through Serena in the last video when she came forth. There's a lovely moment where they're sort of in their tent at night, and they're doing sort of Pokemon charades. where for Serena, for instance, is sort of like tucked up in her little kind of sleeping bag as a presumably a Caterpie, I think it is, which I think Bonnie correctly guesses. I can't remember, but they spend a lot of time together, and they have a really, really nice friendly relationship. It's really, really, really nice to see. Just kind of almost go through randomly at the moment. I love her. I love her sort of. I mean, perhaps not necessarily something on her character, but I love the little costumes that she's got as well. It's such a kind of nice touch. They always make me kind of laugh and just kind of go, "Aww." Whether it's her Tyrantan pajamas, her Slurpuff snow outfit, her Ninja Bonnie outfit, which she usually sort of dresses up with Pikachu and one other Pokemon that I completely forget at the moment. Maybe it's Frogadier might be appropriate, but it might be Frogadier. I don't know anyway. But yeah, Ninja Bonnie is just she's just adorable. That's just the watchword of the day with Bonnie. She's just adorable. But all those costumes are really, really nice. And again, just reiterate her almost kind of love for Pokemon. And I'm assuming she's not sort of made these costumes. It's like she's like sewn them. I assume that she's like her parents have bought them for her or whatever. But still, it just completely again reaffirms her absolute love for Pokemon. That she's constantly kind of thinking about them. She's got such a playful nature with Pokemon and such like that. And it's really lovely to see. What else can I say? Let's talk about. before, yeah, but I'm going to come on to the couple of negatives things as well. So I do want to let's just say I like the fact that she's a kid as well. I think maybe a lot of what I'm saying now perhaps wouldn't be quite so adorable if she wasn't, you know, the 7-8-year-old girl that she is. But I think we lose some of that with Max. Max was sort of so. Oh, maybe that's reminded me of another thing I want to talk about, Bonnie, in contrast to Max. Max just almost tried so much to be kind of like this know-it-all. And it just really does not does not help his character at all, and not childlike at all. He's like almost trying to be the grown-up of the group, you know, which is just silly, and he can't pull it off. Bonnie doesn't try and do that. Bonnie is noticeably younger than Ash, Serena, or Clement, and she behaves like a kid, not to the point where she's too much of a handful or any such imagination, or puts herself in unnecessary danger, at least most of the time. But she is a kid at heart, and I love the fact that she does kid stuff. She plays with the Pokemon. You know, when others are sort of perhaps, you know, preparing food and doing such like that, she dresses up and all those kind of things. And, you know, let's not lose sight of the fact that she's a kid, for goodness sake. She should be doing those things. Max didn't really do any of those things, and, you know, it doesn't help his character, but Bonnie does, and it suits her, and she should be doing those things. So I'm pleased to see that she's doing those things. She's not trying to be too grown up for her age, and that's a really good thing. So I'm going to come on to a couple of negatives now before we come on to the positive. But these are not negative on Bonnie. These are just more or less going to be having a bit of a rant. But I don't want to end on the rant. So yeah. Anyway, here we go. The first of which is, I'm going to reference an episode called A Keeper for Keeps, which is one of my absolute favourites. In this episode, Bonnie has a dream or a nightmare that Clement meets someone, and that in meeting someone, you know, a wife, they get married, that Bonnie then gets sidelined. So all this time that she spent trying to find someone for Clement is ultimately going to backfire on her. That Clement does find someone, and that they take over his life, and he doesn't have any time for her anymore. She sort of shrugs it off as a nightmare, but lo and behold, wouldn't you know it, she meets a trainer. They meet a trainer on their path, and Bonnie does her usual thing. She sort of, you know, gets down on one knee and says, "Won't you be with Clement?" Blah, 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 blah. And to her almost shock, this girl turns around and says, "Oh, actually, yeah, Clement seems like a really nice guy. I find out more about this guy. Maybe there could be something." To which Bonnie then sort of almost becomes kind of horrified at the thought of, oh my goodness, is my nightmare coming true? She sees them getting closer and closer together. She feels like she is being sidelined. Of course, that's somewhat a little bit in her imagination, running wild and such like that. To the point where she's sort of, you know, trying to then sabotage that relationship, which is probably one thing that maybe doesn't endear her so much to me, but it's generally done in a sort of a playful kind of way for the most part. And let me make this clear: it's Dedenne that goes rogue and decides to attack the girl trainer, not Bonnie. Bonnie's not exactly disappointed that Dedenne did it, but she did not command Dedenne to do it. Let's get that right out of the way. Although I might as well just say right now, I love the fact that Dedenne was taking such an interest in this and has such a good relationship with Bonnie that he can detect that Bonnie was that Bonnie was so annoyed about or getting upset with, that he felt like he had to do something about it. I loved Dedenne in that moment. But anyway, yeah, she sort of does various bits of things to try and split her up. But eventually Team Rocket attack. Bonnie gets almost knocked off a cliff, and Clement saves her. And just reiterates that, you know, whatever happens, you know, Bonnie is his sister. There is no way that Bonnie is not going to be a priority in Clement's life. There's no way he's going to, you know, shove her to one side, dismiss her, or anything like that. He's always going to be her big brother, and he's always going to be around to take care of her. At which point, you know, and I think at this point in time, the girl trainer as well has sort of recognised this and has kind of sort of said, probably as much for Bonnie's benefit as well as hers, just sort of said, you know what, actually, I need to grow as a person. I need to go off and do some trading and such, you know, trade my Pokemon, do other things and such like that. I'm not maybe thinking about such a serious relationship at the moment, and leaves, and Bonnie's all happy again. And then it's the end of the episode where Bonnie then propositions almost another girl. She sort of at the very end of the episode, she goes up another sort of random girl on the street or the city or whatever they've gone, and does the exact same thing. Gets down on one knee and says, "Oh, won't you come be with my brother?" Blah blah blah, kind of thing. To which obviously Clement's sort of exasperated. "Bonnie, I told you not to do this." Blah blah blah. But the reaction to that episode is like, just Bonnie is just an absolute spoiled brat that she just completely unaware of her surroundings, everything that goes on. She's selfish. That she didn't learn. I'm sort of paraphrasing a little bit, well, not that much to be honest, but I swear I read sort of one comment along the lines of, "Bonnie, I'm done with you. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I gave you so many second chances, but this episode you've really burnt all the bridges. You went through all this process. You learnt nothing at the end of it all. You went back to the first girl that you saw, and you propositioned her again to be with Clement. It's clear that you didn't learn any kind of lesson whatsoever. You're just so immature, and I'm done with you." And that is just not how I read that moment in that episode at all. It was that she had learnt a lesson. She had completely learnt a lesson. In the sense that, okay, yeah, fine, she had that nightmare that someone was going to come and take Clement away from her, and ruin, for want of a better word, that relationship. But through that experience, where she'd obviously been, a little bit, nasty is a bit too strong a word, but a little bit kind of, certainly disruptive, and tried to get them to break up and everything like that. But at the end of the day, Clement had basically said, put her mind at ease, whatever happens, there's no way that you're going to be any less important to me. You're my little sister. I love you. I'm going to take care of you. Going to take care of you and such like that. And for my money, there's the reaction there is not that she hasn't learnt anything by going to speak to the next girl, and ask her to be with Clement. It's that she's learnt that, okay, yes, it might be scary for Clement to get someone in her life, to get someone in his life that might take a little bit of his attention or time away from me, but Clement has reassured her that she's still going to be a massive part in her life. Nothing's going to change in that respect, and she's like, okay, fine. Now that I know that, I've got nothing to worry about. It's still my duty, because Clement's not going to do it on his own, to find a girl for him, to find a wife for him. It is my duty and my responsibility to do so. And yeah, fine. The next girl she sees that's of an appropriate age or whatever, she's like, yeah, fine. Won't you date Clement? That's how I interpreted that episode. I'm not necessarily saying mine is because it's not never confirmed or whatever, but I'm not saying mine is the absolute nailed on 100% correct interpretation of that. Obviously people can have different interpretations, but seriously, just watching that episode, that just seemed like the most obvious natural interpretation you could get out of it. Not that she was being a complete spoiled brat and that she hadn't learned any lesson from the experience or anything like that, and she was simply just repeating her past quote-unquote mistakes. That's just not what I took from that at all. But the number of comments, the number of people I sort of said that just they absolutely hated Bonnie in this episode. They thought she was just spoilt, and just that they were almost like quote-unquote severing all ties with her, and like she'd literally burnt her last bridge by how she acted in this episode. I did not get that at all from that episode. Just no chance whatsoever. That was just not how I saw it at all. And again, that kind of thing just annoys me, because it was sort of like, again, for a character that I love as much as Bonnie, to see her sort of get that amount of bile, or from the fan base or people who've watched the anime, just who I felt have completely misinterpreted that moment, that episode, just really bugs me. Anyway, that's the first one, and the second one is an episode called The Tiny Caretaker, and I will come back to another point, which is like, I feel like Bonnie gets a lot of some really fantastic emotional moments. I don't feel like she necessarily gets too much character development, and I'll come back to that in a moment as well. Yeah, and I think in Bonnie's case that's not necessarily a detriment to her. Yeah, the Tiny Caretaker episode. This is one again that one of my favourites of the X and Y series. And again, try and keep this as short as possible. But basically, in this episode, they meet up with a sort of lost or a tyrant who's just sort of not quite sure where he needs to be, or that I think he's sort of owned by, maybe he's like run away from a museum or some kind of like I don't want to say organisation because that sounds that doesn't quite like the right word, but yeah, some kind of there's at least some group who are responsible for him, or I think he's run away or something like that, or there's a place that he should be, that would meet his kind of the care and attention that he needs. But anyway, they meet up with this tyrant, and Bonnie of course takes an instant liking to this little tiny dinosaur type Pokemon, as you would. Tyrant takes an instant liking to Bonnie, again as you would. Who wouldn't? She's adorable, she's lovely. Who the hell wouldn't love Bonnie? And you basically kind of see them on their adventure where she's like doing things like even brushing his teeth. Just playing with him and all that kind of thing, and they develop a really kind of nice relationship in the short amount of time that that we see it. Team Rocket show up at one point in time, and steal Tyrant, and Bonnie also in tow. And by the way, at this point in time, Team Rocket legitimately tried to kill Bonnie. I know there's at points in time in the anime where they've sort of, you could I suppose say potentially put Ash and company in danger and such like that, but maybe not quite so indirectly. I can think of a certain moment in the first season where they start throwing literally bombs at Ash while he's dangling from Todd's camera over the over a waterfall or whatever. But they don't typically try to put in mortal danger. But yeah, Tyrant is now sort of in a like a net that Team Rocket have hoisted up, and they're flying high up in the sky in their balloon, and Bonnie is sort of grabbing onto it, and they legitimately throw Bonnie off the or shoot Bonnie or do something to Bonnie to throw her off this net, and she's about to plummet to her death. She's about to hit the pavement, hit the ground, cave her skull in, whatnot, and actually die. Of course, Tyrant evolves into Tyrantum, breaks apart the nets, swoops down to save her. I did not mean to do that because Pidgeotto has now run out of the moves I needed. I need to go and heal. But anyway, Tyrantum basically saves the day in his evolved form. And at that point in time, it's sort of the gang kind of get word of where Tyrantum should be. So I'm disappointed I can't remember the exact details on this and whether Tyrant at the time belonged to I almost want to say museum or something like that, who were taking care of him. But anyway, it's pretty much agreed, although Bonnie doesn't necessarily agree at the beginning. Clement sort of takes charge and says, you know what, Tyrantum we can't care for Tyrantum. He needs to be he needs to be somewhere where he can be properly taken care of, and where they can meet his every need, and he's comfortable. And Bonnie sort of, I'm going to say sulks. I'm not going to say temper tantrum. I'm not going to say hissy fit or anything like that, because that's not the case at all. I feel like she sulks in the sense that she sort of maybe folds her arms, turns away from Clement and doesn't speak to him, but she doesn't start screaming, she doesn't start yelling, she doesn't start stamping her foot on the ground or, in a fetal position on the ground, kicking and screaming with her fist in the air and such like that. That's not what she does at all. So she sulks, but she doesn't throw a temper tantrum or anything like that. And then when she sees Tyrantum in her in the museum or wherever it is going to be, she has to say a heartfelt goodbye to it. She recognises ultimately that that is the best place for Tyrantum. However, and she says her goodbyes. And again, one of my sort of favourite episodes. And again, I sort of went looking for comments. I don't know why on these two particular episodes. I think I've probably done it on other episodes as well, and I've generally met with positive comments, not just on Bonnie but on other people as well. This one was just another one where I went looking for things, and seriously, the comments are like, and I'm actually not paraphrasing here. The comments are like, I wish Bonnie had died. I wish Tyrantum hadn't saved her. I wish she'd fallen onto the ground, caved her skull in. Not just and again, look, and again, she was behaving like an absolute selfish, spoilt brat. She wasn't taking Tyrantum's feelings into consideration. She was only thinking of herself. And I mean, seriously, the ones about wishing that Bonnie had died. I mean, I know we're talking about an anime here, but not like a real world character. But good grief, what kind of masochistic serial killers have we got on watching these Pokemon episodes and commenting on them? I mean, I don't like Max at all, but do I want him to die? Are there any moments where I want him to be shot in the head or stabbed and bleeding out? Good grief, no. I mean, I know it's probably somewhat, I don't know if it's meant to be somewhat in jest. They seem like serious to a point, but like sort of almost bile-felt comment, you know, like you can tell the seething rage that's sort of building up in these people, sort of saying, I hate Bonnie, I wish she died, you know. Just unbelievable. And again, as for the... And Team Rocket, by the way, yeah, what that... Wow, just wow. But, again, the comments about her being selfish, or throwing tantrums, or not taking Tyrantum's feelings into consideration, again, for the briefest moment, she sulks. For the briefest moment, she doesn't throw a temper tantrum. She doesn't do anything like that. And as for not being, you know, being selfish and not taking into account Tyrantum's feelings, you know, the level of maturity she shows as a 7 or 8 year old girl. I don't know why I'm saying girl there. It doesn't matter whether she wouldn't matter if it's a 7 or 8 year old boy. Let's just say 7 or 8 year old. The maturity she shows when you've bonded with a Pokemon in that scenario, really bonded and build up a great relationship in such a short space of time, to appreciate that for the greater good that they need to part ways, that Tyrantum needs to stay where he is so that he can get the care and attention that he needs, you know, and ultimately to kind of say, because Tyrantum there, when she sort of motions to leave, Tyrantum sort of follows after her, and she's like, you know what, no, don't follow me, you need to stay here, I know you want to follow me, I really want you to follow me too, I'm devastated that I'm having to leave you here. I mean, she sort of, you know, runs off crying into Clement's arms, but yeah, that maturity, and I'll come back to this as well because I haven't really sort of fully said it, but that, yeah, maturity is the word I can think of there, to demonstrate that ability to think of Tyrantum's best interest and actually part ways, however much it was killing her. And by the way, the freaking rendition of the Kalos themed kind of music that plays at the end of that episode is just. It gets you where it hurts, and seriously, I mean, I don't cry, sort of what I would say at that kind of Pokemon anime or anything like that, but I'm not ashamed in the slightest to say I had probably squeezed out a tear or two at that scene where Bonnie is, you know, sort of saying her final goodbye to Tyrantum. That is just such an amazing, emotional moment for Bonnie, and she comes out and she goes through that with flying colours. Again, I don't understand all the comments that basically say that she was selfish, she didn't take Tyrantum's feelings into account. That is absolutely not what she did at all, or not how I interpreted that. As I say, yes, there is the briefest moment where she sulks, but I mean, come on. In the real world, if you're a 7 or 8 year old who's found a stray puppy or kitten, well, I probably should have said litten there, but but yeah, found a stray, like, you know, yeah, puppy or kitten, and you sort of, you know, take it in or something, but, you know, your parents say, okay, yeah, fine, we don't, it seems like it's a lost cat or something, or a lost dog, we can maybe take it in for like a few days till we find the owner, or take it to a pound or sort of kennel or something like that, or animal shelter or whatever, but we can hold on to it for a couple of days. If you are a 7 or 8 year old, then that thing, you haven't already got a pet, that you are going to devote your entire time to taking care, playing with that pet. If in a couple of days' time, or a week's time or whatever, you are having to say goodbye or give that pet up, you are going to be throwing the biggest hissy fit, temper tantrum of your childhood. And if you say you're not, then you are flat out lying. You know, Bonnie's reaction to ultimately what I would equivalent in the real world to a child finding a stray pet, taking it in for a few days before then having to relinquish it, you know, her reaction and her maturity in dealing with that situation is 10 times above and beyond what would happen to a 7 or 8 year old in the real world. And as I say, if you think you wouldn't react like that, and I can't speak for everybody, but I would imagine 99% of people, if they said they wouldn't react like that, are flat out lying. So yeah, honestly, I think I'm done with the rants now. I had to get that out there because, as I say, I feel like it shouldn't be a personal attack on me. But obviously, it's not on me. But yeah, with a character I love so much like Bonnie, to see her get that kind of bile and almost hatred directed at her, and from completely, from what I can tell, at least anyway, misinterpreting the situation or just being flat out mean for no reason, and just, you know, the evidence for those 2 episodes, seriously, the Akia for Keeps and the Tiny Caretaker, the evidence I've seen in those episodes does not back up her being selfish, unaware of surroundings, or, you know, just acting completely in her own good and not taking into account anyone else's feelings. I do not get that impression from those 2 episodes whatsoever. I'm not quite sure how people could. And again, I appreciate everyone has different opinions, different interpretations. That's good. That makes the world would be an incredibly boring place to live if that wasn't the case. But yeah, I I struggle to see how you draw those inferences and those conclusions from what you've just watched. But anyway, going back to some the really nice things, and I guess I'll talk about just. I mentioned their emotional moments. She has so many amazing emotional moments. I won't go on about the tiny caretaker episode anymore. Just to reiterate again, other than to reiterate again, the final scene there where she's sort of saying goodbye to Ty Ransom is heart wrenching. It is difficult to watch, but it's like I can't divert my eyes from it. It is compelling to watch and listen and see Bonnie kind of go through that. But ultimately, knowing that it's for the greater good. And the other one, so she's got loads in the series, but the other one I'm just going to pick out, I'm conscious of the time, this is already almost going on for an hour and a half now, is during the Team Flare arc with Zygarde. Now, for me personally, the whole squishy Zygarde storyline in the final season, XYZ, not one I particularly care for, to be perfectly honest. I mean, the Team Flare arc, I suppose, at the end, where is quite something. It's probably the most ambitious and epic sort of, like a Team Rocket or a Team Magma Aqua or Galactic or whatever. It's probably the most epic one of those kind of finale type things. But just the whole Zygarde squishy story just really didn't grab me really at all. But again, Bonnie's moment there where she's obviously bonded with Squishy, Zygarde Cell. I'm going to call it Squishy because it's not technically Zygarde, it's Zygarde Cell, and I'd rather say Squishy than Zygarde Cell. Given I'm going to have to say it over and over again. I didn't really feel like I'd be saying Squishy so much. It's a short space of time, but oh well, there you go. Yeah, she's taken obviously really good care of Squishy. Developed a kind of a bond relationship with it or whatever, and when it sort of morphs obviously into this giant monstrosity, for want of a better word, and that would absolutely scare the living daylights bejesus out of anyone. Bonnie is so brave in that moment to stand up to him, and when she starts singing her squishy song or whatever, again with tears in her eyes at seeing kind of like what Zygarde or what Squishy has sort of become, try and sort of talk him round. That moment is just so emotional, and it's a phenomenal moment, and again brought a tear to my eye. It's such a powerful, moving scene. Just listening to Bonnie stand there with this giant monster in front of her that could do anything, literally could probably kill her. To just stand there singing this sweet, sweet song, in the face of such danger is just. It's a phenomenal moment. I can't do it enough. I can't speak highly enough of that moment or do it enough justice. It's just an absolutely amazing moment, and just one of many, really emotional moments that Bonnie gets in the series. Since I've talked about Squishy, I guess I should talk about Dedenne. Obviously, Bonnie is too young to really own a Pokemon, so Dedenne is, of course, Clements. But he allows Bonnie to take care of him, and she, let's be honest. For someone who is not a trainer, and I assume there are age limits. There's this sort of 10-year-old age limit on becoming a Pokemon trainer because they don't think that younger children have the necessary maturity or skills or appreciation to have to take care of a Pokemon. She does a flipping fine job of taking care of Dedenne. Yes, she spoils him, and I know Dedenne spends a lot of time asleep, but they have just a wonderful relationship. It's always really nice to see her taking care of Dedenne, spending time with him, playing with him, and I love the relationship that she has with Dedenne. Again, for someone so young, Squirtle is really levelling up quite nicely here. That was 43, wasn't it? Was Bulbasaur 44? Okay, well I'm hoping I can get to 44 by the end of this episode, and then I'll get out everything I need to say, and that would almost be a perfect time to stop. Dedenne and Bonnie's relationship with Dedenne is just is really nice to see. I really like them. I really like that relationship. And again, as I say, for someone who shouldn't technically obviously be a trainer, I think she does a pretty good job of taking care of it. It's obvious just her love of Pokemon, her enthusiasm for Pokemon will make her a good trainer. And I have no doubt, in the future, obviously we'll never get to see that, but assuming Bonnie would grow up and become a Pokemon trainer, she would be a really good Pokemon trainer, at least in the sense of being close with Pokemon. She may not be end up taking part in Pokemon showcases or Pokemon contests or taking on, Pokemon gyms and competing in leagues and such like that, but just as a Pokemon owner and trainer, she'd be a bloody good one. Let's just say that. And I suppose the last kind of things I want to touch on are, again, just based on obviously the youngness, her age, or how young she is. I feel like she is extremely mature, despite what others make you think. And I've talked about her sort of maturity in those areas there where I think she actually does show an awful lot of maturity in in thinking of the greater good, taking into account other people's feelings and considerations. I don't get the immaturity thing at all. She's very brave as well, and say not at least in standing up to Zygarde. She also sort of stands up to Team Rocket and all that kind of thing. And again, I know Max probably does the same thing as well. That brings me back to Max as well, and I do want to mention before I come on to the last. Actually, I'll talk about that in a moment. The last thing I want to mention, because I talked about her sort of braveness as well, is her perceptiveness as well. Bonnie's not stupid. I know Max isn't stupid either, but Bonnie is not as smart as Max, let's be honest. But she's still smart, and she is incredibly perceptive and streetwise, if you will. I love the fact that she is the only one who is aware of Serena's massive crush on Ash. I love the fact of that. I mean, I know Ash is dim and dense when it comes to sort of romance and love in that respect, and Clement to a certain degree as well, even though he's a lot older. But Ash doesn't notice. Clement doesn't notice. Obviously, characters like Miette and probably Shauna notice, but of the main group, Bonnie notices. Bonnie picks up on it pretty quickly. And I love that. She's perceptive enough to pick up on that. And again, for someone so young. And I also absolutely love the fact that obviously, given that she knows, she keeps it a secret. She doesn't tell Ash, she doesn't tell Clement, she doesn't blab to anybody. She almost enjoys the fact that she is the only one who knows. I'm not even sure if she lets on to Serena that she actually knows. I might have, if there's a moment in there where that actually happens, I might have missed that or just passed on it or forgotten it or something. But I don't recall that being the case. But seriously, again, I mean, let's talk about her age. For a 7 or 8 year old, if you know that big of a secret, what's the what is likely to be the first thing you're going to do? You're going to blab. You're going to tell your best friend. You're going to tell your parents. I've run out of moves again. You're not going to find something like that, something as juicy, for want of a better word, as that to yourself. But there's not even a hint of Bonnie, toying with kind of Ash or Clement, or even mentioning, as I say, even to Serena, or letting on that she knows. And that's just so wonderful. Again, someone so young would not do that. I appreciate there may be people who would do that. And again, if she was specifically asked to keep it to herself, then maybe I fully believe that she would. But I have to say, I don't think Serena becomes aware that Bonnie knows. And yeah, the fact that she doesn't let on to anybody that she knows, and as I say, it almost seems to relish or enjoy the fact that she's the only one who knows this secret, is brilliant. I think that's just so not what you would expect a young child to do. Right, and I've got one last good thing that I want to mention. So a couple of last good things I want to mention. One I've got down on my little list of post-it notes that I've got in front of me. But the other one I wanted to mention before I came to that was, again, the contrast between Max and Bonnie. So again, like I said in Max's one, Max to me is an example of a kid character done badly, and when they are done badly, they just come out horribly. I had to sort of bite my tongue when I said, admittedly, when I was sort of about good, young child characters like Pearl Fay from the Ace Attorney series, or Clementine from the probably the first couple of series of the Walking Dead game. Those are characters that are young characters that are done brilliantly, and I had to bite my tongue not to say, oh, and Bonnie from Pokemon X and Y, because I would absolutely put her in that category as a child character who is done exceptionally well, who is written and portrayed exceptionally well, and she certainly benefits from that. But again, just she's childlike, she acts like a child, Max doesn't. But again, let's just contrast and compare. I did it previously as well with May and Max, that Max is hissy fit when Ash defeats Norman, where he locks himself in the barn, steals the badge, has an absolute meltdown, starts mouthing off at his dad, doesn't appreciate Ash's, all the stuff, Ash's battling skills and all the stuff that his Pokemon have gone through to actually win that fight, and just throws an absolute hissy fit, temper tantrum. What does Bonnie do? There might be the brief what does Bonnie do when Ash defeats Clement? There might be the briefest sort of sigh, because I think, all things considered, she's probably gonna root for Clement over Ash. But what does she do? She rushes down to the battlefield when the battle's over with a huge smile or grin on her face. She says, "Wow, what a fantastic battle that was." She's ultimately probably a little bit disappointed Clement lost, but she congratulates Ash. She, on a job well done. They all have a nice moment where they all put their hands in and sort of have a, group kind of, I don't want to say high five, but that kind of thing where you put your hands in down low and then sort of raise them up, whatever the hell that thing's called, if it even has a name. And she's happy for Ash. She's happy that she just got to see a really awesome battle, which it was, by the way. She's appreciative of Clement and Ash both gave their absolute all. Yes, she might be a little bit disappointed that Clement lost, but she's genuinely happy for Ash. So she runs onto the battlefield with a huge smile on her face saying, "What a fantastic battle, I really enjoyed watching that." Just, again, such a contrast between that reaction and Max's reaction. And I love Bonnie's reaction there, and absolutely hate Max's. But anyway, the last thing I want to do, because I think Squirtle's probably getting reasonably close, and I've only got one last thing to say anyway, is Bonnie, I think, is an example, and I've talked a lot about character development, and I've said that when a character gets lots of character development, that's probably going to be a good thing, and ultimately mean they're probably likely to be higher for me, certainly when it comes to a kind of favourite list or something like that. I've talked about I mentioned Brock sort of being quite high up, but not really high up, because I feel like his lack of I've actually still got a fair way with Squirtle here. Oh well, might take a little bit of extra time. But it's almost criminal, the lack of the character development that Brock gets. But, oh well. Bonnie's a sort of another case where she perhaps doesn't get so much character development. Ultimately, she is, the fourth character. Let's be honest, our three main ones are going to be Ash, Serena and Clement. So she is the fourth character. I'm not going to call her a fourth wheel or anything like that. She is obviously, the younger one of the group. She's not going to get... she's not going to be taking part in gym battles, she's not going to be taking part in Pokemon showcases or whatever. So, she's naturally going to get less development. But for me, she still remains an absolutely awesome character that I absolutely love. She is my second favourite travelling companion of Ash's in the entire anime, leaving aside Sun and Moon, which I've not watched yet. But I highly doubt anyone's going to eclipse Bonnie. They may do when I get around to watching it, if I indeed choose to stick with it, but I highly doubt it. And there's a clear example of someone who I absolutely love, who is that high on my list, who doesn't get an awful lot of character development. So, in that respect, you don't necessarily need a huge amount of character development to be a great character. And I think Bonnie is the perfect example of that. So, yes, it's great to see, May and Serena and Dawn, who I'll obviously get to talk about, and wax lyrical about. Wow, what the hell was I even trying to say there? Wax lyrical about in my final travelling companion countdown video, because I freaking love Dawn so much. Yeah, just because someone, I'm not going to bother learning that. Just because someone gets a whole bunch of character development, that doesn't necessarily make them a good character. But then equally, just because someone doesn't get a huge amount of character development, doesn't mean that they cannot be a truly great character. And I think that's probably where I'm going to leave Bonnie. I think I've covered off everything on my list. She is. I'll go back to what I said repeatedly. I'll go back to what I said. Sorry, at the very beginning, but I've repeatedly said she is just adorable. Her enthusiasm and love for Pokemon is incredibly infectious. I cannot help but have just a big smile on my face whenever I see her. Whatever she's doing, whether it's playing with Pokemon, whether she's teasing Clement about the names of his inventions, whether she's playing with Serena. Whether she's messing up her lines in the Pikachu film episode. she's just adorable. How can you not love Bonnie? She's a wonderful character. I love her. I think I will leave that there. How far away is Squirtle? Okay, we've got maybe 6 or 7 battles or so to get to get Squirtle up. I'm going to kind of whiz through these now. I don't have to I don't have to sort of concentrate so much on what I'm going to say. Certainly about talking about either. Oh, come on, seriously. I know I only need so few fights now, but you need to actually give me them in the first place. Good grief. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to leave it there at the point to say, yeah, I obviously am going to leave. I mean, this is going to go on for about an hour and 45. This is going to be an exceptionally long video, ultimately of me doing really nothing in the way of, it's a bit annoying, in the way of, progressing through the anime in terms of this game. So yeah, somewhat apologies for that, but ultimately, yeah, we're getting to the characters in the anime that I absolutely love. I'm going to be spending a lot of time talking about them because, yeah, they're my favourite. I've got lots of things I want to say about them. I want to get out there how much I enjoy these characters. With that, revealing third and second place. Actually, let's just, because I want to put up, okay, level 44, good. Let's whiz through that so we're not going to evolve, fine. I will go to the Pokemon Center. I'm actually going to just stop there and not go back to where I would pick up the anime, because what I'm going to do off camera, I'll mention this at the start of the next episode anyway, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Celadon City, I think it is, and get a whole bunch of like potions, or super potions, or hyper potions, because I used a hell of a lot of them in that the Ultimate Test episode where I had the mop team, as I like to call them, Machoke, Onyx, and Psyduck. So, but yeah, I ended up using an awful lot of healing items there, so I need to stock up on that, but I'll do that off camera, but I'll mention as much at the start of the next episode. But other than that, we'll pick up from the anime next time. But Dawn will get her own episode. I will do that one probably just before the beginning of the Indigo League. I figure that's probably a good time to get my Pokemon up to, another good opportunity to get my Pokemon up, leveled up, because I'm going to be facing some fairly fierce challenges there. So, I figure that's going to be a good time to actually do some leveling up. It also should be a fair way now in the future as well. But I don't think it's going to be that soon, or as soon as little time as it has been between this episode and the third Travelling Companion countdown video. So looking forward to talking about Dawn. I'm not even sure I need a post-it note of things in front of me when I talk about Dawn. I probably will do so just to make sure I make sure I cover everything, I don't miss everything. But yeah, I could talk for hours about how much I love Dawn. I will try to keep it a little bit tighter than that. Hopefully no more than an hour or so, because admittedly one character, I know I'm going an hour and 45 minutes here, but that's for two characters. So I'll try and somewhat keep it to an hour. But we'll have to see how that goes. I could talk about Dawn for absolutely ages. I'll leave that episode there. Apologies, there's been no real gameplay, but I assume if you've been watching this episode, then the only thing you've really tuned in for is to hear me talk about May and Bonnie, who are my third and second favourite Travelling Companion countdowns. So next time we'll get on with the anime story of this game, and we'll continue the Let's Play with the Breeding Centre Secret, I think it is. So if you've watched all the way through this, kudos and well done to you. You deserve a cookie. I'll see you next time. Cheerio.